Hey everyone, I am the Crane, and today I'm gonna be talking about the Final Fantasy XIV Relic situation. Now, if they want us to continue grinding tomestones, then that's what we will do. That's basically what we were doing in A Realm Reborn and Heavensward. For those two expansions, we can basically get everything in advance for the Relic quests. Now, people were complaining about how easy it was for the Endwalker relics to progress. 1,500 tomestones for each step, each and every step for 19 jobs. Now, if people truly want the relic grind to be tedious as A Realm Reborn, Heavensward, Stormblood, and Shadowbringers, completionists such as me who do everything. I have every single job to level 90, every crafter and gatherer also to level 90. This relic grind then becomes very time consuming. And going on to DAWNTRAIL, that's a relic grind for 21 jobs. To alleviate this grind, there are a couple things that the developers can do, and it's to update the current systems. And what do I mean by that? My first prediction, or if it's not a prediction, then it's a suggestion of what they should do, is reduce the number of relics. Now you might be asking, how are they going to reduce the number of relics when each weapon is tied to a job? Well, they can change how jobs are switched. They can stop tying weapons to jobs and instead use the job stones that we're given. Currently, when you try to change your soul crystal, which is what it's currently called, it says that you aren't able to do so because of the weapon equipped. Now, instead of tying each weapon to a job, they can tie the soul stone to the job. So when you switch soul stones, you switch jobs. Now this does mean that you can be unarmed. So when you try to attack a monster with no weapon, they'll simply cast an error saying you have no weapon equipped, unable to attack, or something like that. Now this method will make them need to make job stones for classes. The 9 classes that are out right now, which is Gladiator, Marauder, Conjurer, Pugilist, Lancer, Rogue, Archer, Thaumaturge, and Arcanist. Those 9 classes would need a job stone. And since the current jobs are called soul crystals, I was thinking maybe they can call them soul shards. This system can be further expanded for maybe going above level 100. Now, Final Fantasy XIV doesn't really have a job advancement system. You just get jobs. You go from class to job. From level 1 to 30, you're just a class. But from 30 and on, you're just jobs. Now, what if you have something above level 100? It's not a class, not a job, but it's something else, like a master or champion, something like that. And have it be another job advancement. And for levels 100 and above, instead of using soul shards or soul crystals, they can call it soul clusters and make it consistent to the, elemental shards, crystals, and clusters that we have for crafting and gathering. Okay, so like the level 30 transition from Gladiator to Paladin or Marauder to Warrior, we can have like White Mage to White Mage 2 or something like that. At first, I thought maybe soul clusters could be exclusive to jobs like Necromancer or any other job that they can come up with after level 100. But then there would be some balance issues. So let's just make everything have a job cluster after level 100. Now, since everything over level 100 will have a soul cluster, there shouldn't be any balance issues. And this gives them a chance to create new jobs out of these job advancements after level 100. So let's say you can be a Necromancer if you have Summoner to level 100. Now, people might not like that because there's a prerequisite and people just don't like prerequisites. But that's how MMOs used to be, For like MapleStory, for instance, you needed to be a cleric first before you can become a priest, before you can become a bishop. You can't just have bishop ready from level 1. So now you're wondering, why would this system need to be in place? Why would you need to switch jobs from weapons to soul crystals or job stones? And this is to make transformative weapons. So the question is, if we're going to reduce the number of relics, how many relics will there be? The simplest answer is 1, right? If we do the relic quest 1 time, we'll get 1 relic that can transform into all the weapons. And what I mean by that is, let's say you right click on the weapon and there's a new sub-menu option available called transform. You click on that and then a list of all the jobs available will be given to you. Let's say you click on dancer. Now the weapon is going to transform into chakrams. If you click on white mage, or transform into cane and stuff like that, you know. Click on gunbreaker, it's going to change or transform into a gunblade. So now the users, us, who are doing the relic quests, will only have to do the relic quest 1 time, but the developers on their side, they'll still have to make 21 different weapon models for all the different jobs that we're gonna have. Now of course, to avoid doing all of these system changes, what they can do is, once we complete the relic quest, just give us 21 relics. But then that'll be 21 different achievements that we'll get for free for just doing 1 quest, and that's probably not what they're gonna do. Okay, so you might be saying, well, doing the relic quest 1 time is just for 21 relics. That's too easy. Imagine doing a Realm Reborn relics and you only had to complete the 9 books 1 time for all 10 relics. I have all the Realm Reborn relics and I had to do those books 10 times. That's 90 books. It was way too much, but I got through it. Now let's say they didn't want us to just do the relic quest 1 time. What's the next number that makes sense? Well, it's not 2, it is 3. 3 does make sense. Let's say you do the relic quest 1 time, you get the relic for all the tanks. So you have a sword and shield, you right click on it, change to warrior, it's an axe now. Change to gunbreaker, it's a gunblade, change to dark knight, it's a greatsword. You do the relic quest now, let's say for healers, and then all the different DPS. But then the balancing for that wouldn't make sense, because then you'll have 1 relic for 4 tanks, another relic for 4 healers, and then 21 minus 8 would be 13. And so you do relic quest for 13 other jobs. 4, 4, 13, you know, doesn't really seem right. So what's the next number they can go up to? It would be 4. So now you have 1 relic for 4 tanks, 1 relic for 4 healers, 1 relic going into DAWNTRAIL, 6 melee DPS, and all the ranged. 7 range if I'm doing that, 3 ranged, and 4 casters. 4, 4, 6, 7. Okay, not bad. But now, is 5 better or 6 better? Let's see, if we divide it into 5 groups, we have 4 tanks, 4 healers, 6 melee DPS, 3 ranged physical, and 4 casters. 4, 4, 6, 3, 4. Okay, how would we reduce the number of melee DPS? Okay, so now instead of 5 relics, let's do 6. Actually, 6 doesn't make sense, so let's do 7. 7 relics would be the max number of relics that makes sense. So we have 4 tanks, 4 healers, 2 scouters, which would be ninja and viper, 2 striking, monk and samurai, 2 maiming, reaper and dragoon, 3 ranged, and 4 casters. Yeah, so we'll have 7 relics. That makes sense. Obviously you can split the healers as well, the pure healers and shield healers, making for a maximum value of 8 relics, but that's not really important. Now if they don't want to reduce the number of relics, then I would just suggest to make the grind fun. What I mean by that? Well, what do we want? From a Realm Reborn, we know that we don't want books. We don't want dungeon farming. So what else can they do? I have no ideas right now, but let's just say they can make the grind fun. Somehow. It's already been confirmed that we will have a large-scale duty coming in DAWNTRAIL. And obviously this large-scale duty is going to be tied to our relics in some way. So hopefully this large-scale duty is going to be fun. As for the relic grind, let's hope it's not too tedious. Another thing that they can do is, after we've done the relic quest one time, reduce the number of items necessary for all subsequent times that we finish the quest. So if they still want us to do 21 grinds for each relic weapon, the first time we do it, just keep the values normal. But the second time and on, for all other 20 jobs, they can reduce the number of items needed to complete the quest and divide that value of whatever it may be by 5 or 6. So let's say if you needed 30 of some item on the first step, on the first relic, then on the second relic you only need 5 items or 6. Well, like the Shadowbringer's relic, for the second step you need to collect 20 fragments in each of the Heavensward zones, which is the most efficient way to get them. 60 fragments to complete one relic is way too much. Now let's say you only needed 5 fragments from each zone, so that's 15 fragments. So you just reduce the time that you would have needed by a factor of 4. I just think that those are some of the changes that they can do. Now if you like this video, like it. If you dislike it, dislike it. Peace.